We'll begin tonight with the New Year message of President Bola Tinubu. The president has pledged to consolidate Nigeria's recent economic gains in 2026 while focusing on building an inclusive and growth-oriented economy. While delivering his New Year address, the president said Nigeria ended 2025 on a strong footing with robust quarterly economic growth, with inflation declining steadily to below 15%. He added that the Nigerian Stock Exchange also outperformed its peers, posting a 48.12% gain, as the government targets further inflation reduction and broader economic benefits for households in the new year. In a related development, Nigeria has begun the implementation of its much-anticipated new tax laws and fiscal reforms amid widespread public anxiety. President Tinubu on Tuesday reaffirmed that the new tax regime signed into law in June 2025 would take effect on January 1, despite repeated calls from various quarters for a suspension to allow for further review. Defending the reforms, President Tinubu assured Nigerians that the new tax laws would not impose additional burdens on citizens. But some Nigerians would not buy that, as leading opposition figures have kicked against the commencement of the new tax reforms. The National Association of Nigerian Students, National Chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Senator David Mark, and Labour Party Chairman, Senator Nnamdi Usman, were among those who spoke against it. Their outcry follows the High Court of Abuja's move declining to restrain the federal government from going ahead with its January 1 timeline for the implementation of the same. Femi Onokore is an economist. He joins me now for a deep dive into the president's New Year's speech as it relates to economic forecast in 2026. Thank you for being here. How do you envisage the president's plans to balance inflation reduction with job creation in the context of Nigeria's current economic challenges?
Well, the comforting thing about the speech by the president is that it highlights the very important, significant gains we've had as a country, especially on the economic front. It is undeniable that GDP has increased. It's undeniable that inflation has reduced. It's undeniable that foreign reserves have also improved, and that foreign investments have also improved. So these are critical gains and some of the things that we've been looking at. It also cannot be discounted that the liberalization of the country from the subsidy chokes and burden has actually created immense wealth for subnational governments. So I think also that that's a step in the right direction, as well as the harmonization of FX rate. All this comes together to say that 2025 was a very good year in terms of economic progression for Nigeria. Not where we would love to be in the immediate, but it's a stepwise, consistent process. In terms of consolidation, that is the real job for 2026. 2026 poses first, a political challenge in terms of the import on economic policies and fiscal application. We would like to see a reduction of politicization of common good positions and policies, and just a focus on economic growth, which is primarily what everybody else is running on and pushing out. We would like to see clearer communication regarding the tax reforms implementation. Some of the issues that were raised in recent times about the gazetted copy being different from the one presented to the president and all that, there has to be a clearer position. It's an investigation going on by the National Assembly, but at the same time, we think that the presidency also needs to come out a bit and provide some clarification. Aside from clarification, there is an urgent and very imperative need for clear communication. The social media is awash with a lot of different narratives regarding the tax reforms and its implementation, and some of the other policies that the government is planning to implement. If the public is not carried along, even if you have very bold, progressive ideas, if you don't have the buy-in of the people, it becomes a lot harder to consolidate whatever gains we had in 2025. Thankfully, we've seen some progress on the security front as well. So it appears that Nigeria is moving in the right direction. But the consolidation plan, earmarked in the midterm economic framework, is also very important to be communicated to the people. People need to understand how this impacts their life, what they tend to gain, what opportunities are being created in terms of job creation. The president talked about 1,000 people across different wards, about 8,000 wards in the country, creating gainful employment. We need to see the action steps, guiding this, the implementation. We need to see the harmonization of our agricultural support policies such that we can move more towards mechanized farming and improve productivity and food sufficiency.
Clarification, a lot of explanation, a lot of carrying the people along is important with any policy he intends to bring out. But let's talk about one in particular. He has pledged to empower at least 1,000 citizens in each of Nigeria's over 8,000 wards through the Renewed Hope agenda, with, I think he says, it's 8.8 million people in 2026. From an economic standpoint, how visible is this in terms of funding, implementation, capacity, and measurable impact?
Well, the critical thing is there's a play between economics and English, right, in the presentation. And that is, what do we mean by empowerment? Empowerment, the indices that demonstrate what empowerment means would actually help us to quantify the import, the significance, and the consequences, that may arise from such a development. If the framework is not clear enough, if we cannot objectively and productively ascertain that these are productive matrices that we're measuring, that we're following, and we're going to assess the progress promised by, then it becomes a bit of a stretch, a bit of a political statement, if I may use the term. Because the truth is, if we have about 10 million people empowered, right, across the country, it means that they should also be able to create additional jobs and dependencies by margins of degrees of separations, maybe like 2, 3. So we're talking about like 20, 30, 40 million people being directly and indirectly impacted. Now, this presupposes that the activities that they're being empowered on are driven by productive ventures that create economic value. So that is what we need to be clear about. What is the framework for this empowerment? How do we define this empowerment? What are the metrics that we're going to measure, right? The progress and, monitor the effectiveness by. Those are the critical issues. But empowerment can be anything. I could give out 1,000 naira to 1,000 people. That's 1 million naira. I say I've empowered 1,000 people, but it does not really articulate it.
Yeah. Should the term empowerment be expunged from speeches from the president in particular, considering that measuring its impact and effectiveness might be tricky? And doesn't this open room to further scrutiny and skepticism as to the sincerity of whatever plans or policies he wants to implement through empowerment?
Well, the truth is not a one-sided position. The truth also is that we must understand our political literacy in the country, our economic literacy in the country. There are certain words and certain terms that have a buzz effect, and sometimes they energize even beyond the quantified inputs themselves. So empowerment, right? Whatever the president does in terms of policy initiatives, in terms of, frameworks, development, whatever proposal programs, they are all empowerment initiatives. They are all to empower people.
Femi, you know exactly what I'm referencing. I'm not talking about the generality. I'm talking about his specifics of empowering 1,000 people in over 8,000 wards across the country. And that's where I'm a bit concerned. But let's look at something more pertinent, and that's the claim that Nigeria recorded robust quarterly GDP growth in 2025. with annualized growth expected to exceed 4%. In your view, given Nigeria's economic structure and external headwinds, are these projections realistic, and do they translate into real improvement in living standards? It still ties back to the question I asked about clarity on the need to expunge the use of empowerment.
Empowerment is a regular word, so it's neither here nor there. What we're just looking at productivity indices to follow. But regarding what you said about the the GDP growth, these were not mythical figures that were created in in some policy units. These were economic indices that were measured against actual data and progression of the economy. So yes, the country did grow by about 3.8%, 4% growth annualized, which is really quite good considering where we're coming from and some of the headwinds we have to challenge, both locally and globally. So we can build on it. There's a firm conviction with the fiscal policies, that the framework, the monetary policy management framework, that we can make significant progress and build on the projection has been laid down already. But we achieved the 3.8, 4% GDP growth rate in
a mix of skepticism and optimism from you, which is a fair balance. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and Happy New Year to you and the crew.
Happy New Year. Coming up still tonight, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed face off in fresh political confrontations. Stay with us for details. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu pledges to consolidate recent economic gains and ensure inclusive growth in 2026. National Association of Nigerian Students leading oppositions kick as implementation of new tax laws begins. Death toll rises in New Year's party fire at Swiss Key Resort Bar, where more than 100 others were reportedly injured. Now, Nigeria's Senate President Godswill Akpabio has ordered the withdrawal of all defamation lawsuits he filed against some individuals across the country. Akpabio confirms that close to 9 defamation cases have been initiated over allegations of false statements and damage to his reputation. The move marks a reversal of several high-profile legal actions filed in 2025, including a suit involving Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the lawmaker representing Kogi Central District, with whom Akpabio has been in a long-drawn legal battle. For some perspective, we have legal practitioner Jide Olobu join us live in the studio. Thank you for being here. I mean, this matter is getting a lot of attention because of the drama between Natasha Akpoti and the Senate President. And he was inspired by his listening to the New Year message of the press. I mean, is there a legal implication here? Do we see maybe a rejoining of friendship, a renewal of friendship among those who allegedly defamed him?
That may be one of the outcomes. But generally at a time like this, when we cross to a new year, there are several resolutions. And I can let you know that it's not easy for litigants. You see, when you have a case in court, you have those cases on your hearts, on your minds, and on your shoulders. So I think you should now find a bit of relief. And legally speaking, of course, he has the right to withdraw those suits against the defendants, and the court will oblige him. What I don't know is whether Natasha, for instance, will withdraw her own cases.
Reciprocal.
Yes. But I know that recently the president of the Senate slammed about 200 billion naira suit against Natasha, and talking about if that will restore the friendship, I think that has to do with the relationship that is expected to be fine-tuned if they all focus on the purpose of being in the National Assembly, which according to Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended to make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good government in Nigeria so that they can all focus. And I think recently, the two of them had their birthdays on the same day or whatever.
Okay.
And I believe that
I mean, they put this country to a bit, if you ask me. They were in the news for quite a long time. Do you see perhaps an acceptance on the part of those who are being sued by Akpabio to, reciprocate this action aside Natasha, because we don't know what side she will go?
And that's why I mentioned, for the defendant, it's a relief. When somebody is suing you, there are claims against you. So if the person says, I'm not proceeding with the matter, that means you are not likely to pay the claims. I mean, presuming that the case will succeed. So for defendants, but if the defendant now feels that the suit was wrong in the first instance, then you can sue Akpabio in return.
Yeah, but that is not going to happen. Do you think it will?
I cannot say that conclusively now, because really, and that is why for the president and the governor in Nigeria, they have immunity, because litigations are destructive in nature. They distract you from focusing. That is why when the president is in office, you excuse him until he steps out of office.
If you were to make any prediction, what do you expect to see in the coming days in terms of this rescinding of decisions?
I think they should bury their swords and then move on in the spirit of the essence of being together in the National Assembly. And let me say this, as a public figure, you are not immune from mudslinging and different kinds of firebrands from left, right, and center. When Jesus Christ was here, he had a full dose of those things. In fact, at a time, some alleged that he was using evil spirit to heal the people, but he focused on his mission. Look at Donald Trump in the US. Some people insult him outrightly, and he also fires back sometimes. So when you offer yourself to be in the public space, I think you should have a kind of shock absorber for some of these things.
Should we expect some realignment in 2026 ahead of 2027? Because it's closer than we think. The politicking continues. Is this a form of political maneuvering, do you think?
Absolutely. For the politician, tomorrow is the election day. But for the statesman, it's all about the next generation, how to secure the future. So for them, and you can see it already, defections across the carpet. So they are now calculating what will support my political career.
This particular decision, I'm asking, do you see a political maneuvering in it? And if there is, what would be the end game?
I do not see Natasha being cowed to cross carpet. But if she does, I will not be surprised, because politicians can hardly be trusted to hold their guns to the ideologies of their parties, and that is if their ideologies are strong enough. Otherwise, some people have defected, and I remain shocked that with all the posture they had in their former party, they could move. But like I said,
know exactly.
The politician
some of the people
is primarily out to protect his personal political interest before protecting the party interest and the national interest. You can see where PDP is now. Atiku, who was wearing PDP like a garment, is finding solace in ADC.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I'm sure we'll be able to come to you for some perspective when the developments begin to unfold.
It will be my treasure.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year
Happy
to
New Year.
everyone. It will be a remarkable year, and God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Happy New Year once again.
You're welcome.
All right, the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike has fired back at Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed after the governor accused him of causing political problems in Bauchi State. Governor Mohammed claimed that Wike once vowed to put fire in Bauchi and was using federal agencies and political influence to hurt his government. Wike has, however, dismissed those claims, saying they were an excuse for the Bauchi governor's own challenges. Away from that, emergency response agencies are maintaining their presence at the scene of the Christmas Eve fire outbreak on Martin Street, Lagos Island, as rescue operations continue at a burnt Great Nigeria Insurance House. News Center's correspondent Israel Eferobo reports.
Officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority, LASEMA, the Lagos State Building Control Agency, LASBA, alongside the Lagos State Fire Service, were at the scene on a routine assessment of the ongoing operation. According to authorities, the exercise is aimed at evaluating progress, ensuring safety standards, and coordinating efforts to locate possible victims trapped beneath the rubble.
We are thinking of going into the recovery phase, but we are facing some challenges because we have a lot of debris that are still burning. So it is difficult for excavators to start excavating. We are waiting for the fire to actually be brought under complete control before we start that.
The fire service says the inferno has been largely contained, though pockets of heat remain within the structure, requiring continuous monitoring.
All the fire are up now, and it's only the smoke that's coming from the basement, and we cannot stop it now until all those debris be removed, so we can be able to tackle the fire from the basement.
Meanwhile, LASEMA has opened an incident register to document complaints and gather information from relatives of persons feared missing.
We have a table there that you can go and confirm the number of victims that so far be recovered. As I told you, it's an ongoing exercise, and as soon as the exercise is over, a statement will be made on that. So I don't want to speculate for now. I know quite okay that a lot of bodies have been found, and there were some other people that were rescued alive. So it's an ongoing exercise, and in due time you'll get to know about the number of people involved in it.
For now, the area remains cordoned off as authorities urge residents and traders to stay away while operations continue. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Eferobo.
The wife of Nigeria's President, Tinubu, has welcomed the first baby of the year, a girl born at about 12 a.m. on January 2026 to 26-year-old Patience at Dakole. During her visit to the mother and the baby and 4 other babies born on the first day of the year at the Federal Medical Center, Jabi in Abuja, she urged women to embrace opportunities and not be discouraged over financing to start their businesses. As part of the tradition to present a birth certificate to the baby's mother, the president's wife also distributed some gift items to the parents of all 5 children born at the hospital.
I welcomed 5 in total. The baby of the year, a girl, and then the triplets. The mother has waited for 13 years, so which is wonderful, and another baby boy. Nigerian women are blessed. We are blessed. Didn't you see all of us? We are blessed. And Nigerian women are very hardworking, and we all know that from our mothers. So we can only encourage them that this year, whatever they want to do, that they feel God has laid in their hearts, they should do it. Never feel that I don't have money to do business. Just go and do what you feel. Start small and you will be amazed. So that is my advice. Whatever I've done in my life, this government has not given me a dime. I say it all the time. But you can see the great things God is using to do. People see me, I'm doing things, and they gift me. Become generous with it. Make sure you are generous. This year, I tell people, if you want money, you have to sow money to the life.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State government, through its Ministry of Health, has welcomed the first babies of 2026 born at selected public hospitals across the state. The symbolic visit took place at facilities including Ibejuleki General Hospital, Imota General Hospital, and Bagada General Hospital. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more.
The new year comes with celebration and excitement, but for the families of the babies born on the 1st of January each year in Lagos, it is a double celebration for them as the First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, recognizes the birth of these first babies of the year, and this year at the Ibejuleki General Hospital, Imota General Hospital and Bagada General Hospital. Besides being an annual tradition for the Lagos State government, Mrs. Sanwo-Olu says the visit to the first babies of the year remains a gesture that underscores the government's commitment to maternal and child health care while bringing smiles to families welcoming their newborns into the new year.
Just as the birth of a healthy baby depends on conscious choices, healthy living during pregnancy and access to skilled care during labor and delivery, so does the progress of our society depend on deliberate actions. Today's gathering is not only a celebration of new life, but also a call to compassion. It is an opportunity to reflect on how we can make a meaningful difference in the lives of those who need our support.
To celebrate not only the dawn of a new year, but also the arrival of baby Darabola at 12 midnight. This is our first baby of the year 2026.
Families of the newborn commended the Lagos State government for the laudable initiative, while the matron responsible for the birth of the babies believes the gifts provided at the event will help reduce the financial burden on the parent.
First Lady Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu àti gbogbo àwọn the other company tó jẹ́ kan participate lórí gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣe fún wa. I was so happy. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ everybody in charge of my family, Akonde family.
With this event, this laudable event from the office of the First Lady of Lagos State, it helps a lot, taking care of most of the basic things that the baby will need, even down to the mother. Some of the diapers you see here can last the baby even up to a year. And you know, that is relieving the financial burden on the family.
Sharing in the joy of the birth of the first babies remains a great way to start the year 2026, particularly for the families of the newborn and well-wishers. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Congratulations to all the new mothers. As Nigerians step into the new year, expectations are high over its outcomes on citizens. While some see it as a fresh beginning, others are hopeful for God's protection, better opportunities, and a chance to achieve goals left unfulfilled in the past year. In Abuja, residents across age groups share their views on what the new year means to them. Our correspondent, Blessing Aigbe, compiled this report.
The new year is usually a time of excitement, reflection, and renewed expectations. For many residents in the Federal Capital Territory, the new year is more than a change of date on the calendar. It represents hope, reflection, and the possibility of a better future.
New Year is a thing of joy to me. And New Year is celebrated by all Christians and Muslims. I'm not like that. Every day in my life is a good day to me. I don't have a solution in my life. What I did this year, by God's grace, next year, God will do greater things for me next year in Jesus' name.
It means a new beginning, new fresh starts, and making me achieve things that I didn't achieve the other year.
New Year's means you repent the thing you do for last year. You will enter to new year. That new year you enter, you will change. The thing you do last year, you will change to enter new year. We started a year with them, they are no more. Since God, I kept you to reach to December to cross over the new year to appreciating God, to thank God for that, because it's not easy. It's not easy. There are some people now no more.
Despite economic challenges, they say faith remains central as prayer for good health, peace, and stability is their expectations for the new year.
My expectation for this new year is to achieve what I did not achieve the last year and still improve more, because there are a lot of mistakes I made last year and I would love to correct them this new year.
Expectation for new year, I'm expecting God to change my life, to change my story, to carry me from January to December to reach to that December is a good thing if I reach that December. Yes, because this year I thanking God, God give me a job. Last year I not get a job. This year God give me a job. I thanking God the way God give me that job. I'm working, I'm feeding my family. We are doing well.
Many remain hopeful that the new year will bring renewed strength, fulfilled dreams, and better opportunities. In Abuja for News Central, Blessing Akibe.
Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo has signed the 820 billion naira budget into law, tagged the budget of shared prosperity. Governor Ododo assured residents of fiscal discipline, accountability, and people-focused governance. The event followed the presentation of the budget by the Kogi State House of Assembly in Okene, with lawmakers pledging support for policies aimed at ensuring economic growth, infrastructure development, and security. Mono Balagbobo reports.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for the service to humanity.
Governor Ododo says that the budget reflects his administration's commitment to fiscal discipline, transparency, and the efficient use of public resources.
Let me assure this distinguished assembly that our administration remains firmly committed to fiscal discipline, transparency, and prudent management of state resources. This appropriation law will be implemented strictly in accordance with the law, with every naira deployed to advance the progress and well-being of our people.
Governor Ododo also credited federal economic reforms for creating fiscal space for states, noting that improved revenue inflows will support effective implementation of the 2026 budget across critical sectors.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this effort, whose bold and transformative policies have freed up resources and expanded fiscal space for subnational governments. The New Hope agenda has opened up the economy, expanded opportunities, and significantly boosted our internal generated revenue, making effective implementation of the 2026 budget achievable by the grace of God.
He adds that education, healthcare, agriculture, rural infrastructure, as well as women and youth empowerment will remain central to the state's development agenda.
To many, 2026 is a political year, but to us, it is a year to continue providing to our people wealth creation, expansion of opportunities, infrastructural development, education of our children, access to quality healthcare, food security, and road connectivity to markets and opportunities shall remain our priority.
As the 2026 fiscal year commences, both the executive and legislature say that their focus remains uniting the state, economic growth, and delivering measurable benefits to the people of Kogi. In Kogi for News Central, Morno Balagbobo.
Brazil's Supreme Court has rejected former President Jair Bolsonaro's request to convert his 27-year prison sentence for plotting a coup into house arrest on Thursday. The court said Bolsonaro's lawyers cited a real risk of a sudden worsening in his health as the reason for seeking to serve his sentence at home, but judges were not convinced. Bolsonaro, aged 70, has been in hospital for more than a week after undergoing surgery for a groin hernia and a separate procedure to treat persistent hiccups. Dozens of people were killed and around 100 injured, most of them seriously, after fire tore through a crowded bar during a New Year's Eve party in the upscale Swiss ski resort of Crans, Montana. Fire broke out at 1:30 a.m. in a bar in the resort in southwestern Switzerland, which locals said was popular with teenagers. The cause of the blaze, which was initially reported as an explosion, remains unclear, but authorities said it appeared to be an accident rather than an attack. Business, sports, and entertainment news is up next after this break.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Now, NNPC recorded a profit after tax of 502 billion naira in November 2025 on revenue of 4.36 trillion naira, driven by strong gas output and steady domestic fuel supply. Crude production averaged about 1.36 million barrels per day, slightly up from October, while gas output remained near 7,000 million metric feet. To compete with Dangote Refinery's aggressive pricing, NNPC cut petrol below 800 naira per litre, joining an intensifying downstream price war. The company also advanced key gas pipeline projects, achieving full upstream pipeline availability, reinforcing its gas monetization strategy and positioning Nigeria for stronger energy output in 2026. Let's also tell you that Governor Hyacinth Alia has signed Benue State's 695.01 billion naira 2026 appropriation bill, dubbed the Plan of Rural Development, Livelihood Support and Sustained Growth. The spending focuses on rural transformation, including feeder roads, bridges, portable water, electrification and climate-smart infrastructure. Agriculture and agro-industrial development received major allocations with subsidized inputs, mechanization and cottage processing facilities. Governor Alia called on citizens, partners and stakeholders to ensure disciplined implementation. Well, taking a broader look at West Africa, Ghana's cedi ended 2025 with a 41% gain against the US dollar, its first annual appreciation in 3 decades, driven by record gold prices and a weaker greenback. Bloomberg data shows the rally snapped a depreciation streak dating back to the early 1990s. Analysts say Ghana's position as Africa's top gold producer amplified the impact of the bullion boom, while central bank initiatives such as gold for oil helped stabilize forex supply. The stronger cedi has eased import costs, though price pressures persist. And that's it on Business News. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Hello and welcome to the first sports report for the year 2026. Former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua has been discharged from hospital after surviving a car accident in southwest Nigeria that claimed the lives of 2 close friends. The crash occurred on the busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway when an SUV Joshua was traveling in hit a stationary truck. Nigerian police said Joshua sustained minor injuries while his friends died on the scene. State officials in Lagos and Ogun State who supervised his treatment confirmed that he was clinically fit to continue recovery at home. After discharge, he and his mother visited the funeral home where arrangements were being made for the repatriation of the bodies of Kevin Abdulateef Ayodele and Sina Gami. Meanwhile, the identity of the man driving the SUV carrying Anthony Joshua and 2 of his friends when it collided with a stationary truck on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has been confirmed. His name is, the man was actually driving the car, and his name is Kayode Adeniyi, a 47-year-old who has been a long-standing member of Joshua's Nigerian logistics team when he travels to the country. Adeniyi was discharged from a hospital in Lagos on New Year's Eve and was then driven to Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State. There he was questioned for hours, eventually giving an official statement of what he says happened in the minutes prior to the crash. Official reports from the FRSC and the Nigerian Police suggest Adeniyi was way over the 100 km/h speed limit when the collision happened. The driver of that illegally parked truck is now set to be on the run from the police. To Morocco now, Gabon's sports minister has announced sweeping sanctions following the elimination of the national team of Gabon from the Africa Cup of Nations, including bans for veterans Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bruno Ekwelemanga, suspension of the national team, dismissal of the coaching staff, and a review of team governance. The measures followed a dramatic 3-2 loss to defending champions Ivory Coast and a third straight defeat that left Gabon bottom of Group F behind Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Mozambique. The decision came after a Council of Ministers review triggered by the loss to 102nd ranked Mozambique, which sealed elimination. Aubameyang returned to Marseille after that match due to a thigh injury, and the president pledged strong and structural decisions to restore accountability, though the move risks breaching FIFA's rules on government interference. And that's all on Sports Tonight. Entertainment is up next.
And let's look at entertainment as it starts on a high note. Yes, it's a new year and we're talking about big things, as Davido has ended 2025 on a high note after securing a top 10 spot at Chart Data's 2025 end year polls. Now, a ranking that reflects global and fan engagement, streaming dominance, and cultural impact. The poll, which aggregates data across major music platforms and fans voting matrix, places Davido among the most influential artists worldwide this year. Now, his consistent releases, international tours, and collaborations helped keep Afrobeats firmly in global conversations. Now, industry observers say the ranking further validates Davido's longevity and relevance, more decades and every other thing in his career. Well, that's an interesting one for Davido, and yes, what a way to start the new year. And let's talk about something that's happening overseas, as Nicki Minaj is trending. Yes, and this time, not for music. Now, a petition calling for her deportation has got viral following a series of controversial public statements, including her open support for conservative political figures, while some fans say her views clash with what they expected from a rapper. Others insist she is very in her right to her opinion. Now, other online backlash escalated rapidly, morphing into calls for her return to Trinidad and Tobago. However, deportation is a complex legal process, and Minaj has lived and worked in the U.S. for decades. And although she has, stated she isn't a U.S. citizen, the petition carries no legal weight, by the way. As at the time of the report, it's gotten close to 70,000 petitions signed. Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight, by the way.
That's a wrap on the news, but before we go, a quick look at our headlines. President Tinubu has pledged to consolidate recent economic gains and ensure inclusive growth in 2026. National Association of Nigerian Students, leading oppositions have kicked against January 1 implementation of new tax laws. Death toll has risen in New Year's party fire at Swiss Ski Resort Bar, where more than 100 others were injured. Do send your eyewitness report to the number being displayed now on your screen. You can follow us on all platforms to do that as well, at News Central TV. You can watch live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, and on YouTube. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and again, Happy New Year.